What is up? It is Thursday night. It's time for another Thursday night grind. Good evening. My name is Matt. And every Thursday night I go onto YouTube and sharpen something on the bench. It's June 25th, 2020 as I'm doing this, and it's episode 26. And this week it is a nice collection of knives, but I wanted to draw attention to something, and that is that for the last now 26 weeks, every week I've shown up, and I'm going to keep doing that. It's just what I'm doing. But I feel like some people, and you may have figured out, like a lot of the reason I'm doing this is draw awareness to my next project, which is the Guild of Professional Sharpeners. I want to build a community of sharpeners. That's what I'm going after, and I'm showing up there too. And I feel like a lot of people, they just want the golden egg. They get drawn in by that clickbait, like how to make 17 grand in a weekend doing nothing. But they don't realize that it actually takes a lot of work, and you got to show up. I bring this up because I was having a conversation with Tim this week, and I know you're out there, Tim. Good talking to you, man. I really enjoyed that conversation. One thing that stuck with me was this question about, is there value? And I know there's value because I built it. But I also know that in order for me to get the community grown, I need to demonstrate value. And that's part of what I'm doing here today. And that correlates into what you're going to be doing too. If you want to start a business, if whatever you want to do, you got to show value. And I want to show you, like, here's the collection of knives that just came in. And I'm hoping you can see all that. Like, this is a pretty hot collection. A Damascus dagger here, folders. This is Damascus, all Damascus. A bunch of daggers. Here's the thing, like, you don't just start and somebody, and like people with, you know, I'm gonna guess, I don't know, maybe $1,000 worth of knives. Like, I hold a lot of respect for the owner who drove down a relatively back road in New Hampshire and dropped these in a wooden weathered box on the side of the road to trust me to work on these, put a blazing edge on them and get them back to him. And I will. But it's taken a lot of work for me to build up that, I call it social credibility, for that owner to be willing to do that. And I'm in the same place right now with the guild, which is why I just wanted to kind of draw that correlation. And the same thing with the guys that I'm working with who are building their business. They got to keep showing up. It'd be easier to quit. Like, if I look at my numbers on YouTube, they're certainly nothing to be like particularly proud of. As far as like views and subscribers and all that, but that's all right. Like, you can, to me, if there's like 30 of you out there who are interested, like let's connect. That's it. That's all I'm looking for. You know, the dream of like 3,000, 30,000, 300,000. It's okay. It's okay, man. Like, let's just connect the 30 of us. Okay. So with that, today I want to show you this guy. This is a sweet little Damascus dagger. I've already done a few of these, and there's some things to consider in doing daggers. This one's going to be relatively nice because of this sweet flat spot right here. You'll see how I set that up on the edge brow, and I'm going to use that. If you get one, this one has a flat spot too, but it's going to be a little bit trickier because of the blade length. And I'm going to have to, I actually think I can get this all in, keep this flat spot as a reference point. But you can see if you get out off of that flat, it's just going to rock. And you're going to have to figure that out. One way to deal with that could be to shim up the back edge. And just a little plug something that I'm selling too, which I can't seem to find, which is usually right here. Anyway, it's the Serrated Blade Shim for the Edge Pro. I don't know where that went. Anyway, maybe I'll try to leave a link down there. You know, one bad side then is if you're lifting up the backside, it's going to be harder to get the angle on the bevel that you're cutting. So anyway, if you get these, you're gonna have to figure that out. But you really want that flat spot. This blade has not been used or abused too badly. So I'm going to go right to the edge, bro. But I just wanted to clarify, I'm not above taking a pass on the belt sander to bring the edge back to save me a bunch of time. I do it very carefully. And I'm careful to suggest that to you because I would hate for you to damage a blade if you're not really confident in holding by hand the angle on the belt sander. Or ultimately too, like setting it up correctly when you first go against the belt, because you really don't want to damage the Damascus, the appearance of this blade. Oh, and Buck and Bear. I don't know if you can see the double B's here. Out of Pennsylvania. I had to look them up. Pretty cool little spread. The owner of these has several of these knives. So and very, very nice inlay on the handle. Maybe you won't get it. Maybe you will. Yeah, like it's nice. I looked them up. They're not super pricey. I was expecting them to be a bit more, but nice knife. Okay, so one other thing before we go to the Edge Pro is that I've tried to save a little bit of time. You might see I've already taped it. And what I did is I used you can go back to my video on high-end folders on more details about tape. But for this one, what is going to be touching the table on the Edge Pro is this flat part and where each side transitions. So I wrapped a little bit of piece of tape around here, and then I ran tape up just the center of the blade there. So I still have access to all of the bevels. Okay, so one thing, here's where I've gotten myself into trouble before, is trying to do all 4 bevels at the same time. When you're starting on a coarse stone, it's kind of easy to look and tell which one you've done and which you haven't. But as you're doing them, if you're anything like me, it's easy to lose track. Which way did it? So I think the way I'm going to do this one is like I would just a regular knife. So I'm going to do, this edge, and then I'll move it over and I'll do the other edge from start to finish. Just so I don't lose track. You could make a claim and you could sell me on a more efficient process of doing one stone on all 4 bevels, next stone, all 4 bevels. And even as I'm saying it, like I'm almost selling myself on it. But let's just lock and load here and kick this off. I'm going to bring you down to the Edge Pro, to the bench, and flash a light in just a second. Alrighty. Lights. All right. Here we go. And I was considering using the slide guide, which I call the spaceship, but upon setting it up, I decided to not. I actually kind of like this. I do have the magnet in. Okay, so now you can see how valuable it is to have that flat spot. Let me just pull that magnet down. If you're off the flat, how do you hold that, man? How do you hold that? You could try to shim it, but it's hard to get that angle. If you have any solid tips on doing daggers on the Edge Pro to help with that, I would love it. Mine is use the flat to the best of your ability. Okay, and magnet. So let's do the Sharpie trick. Paint a little bit of that bevel. I'm going to try not to get I'll clean it off anyway if I do, but I'm going to try to not paint what is not the bevel. And I'm going to start, I'm pretty confident I'm going to need to do some work with my 120 stone here. And when I soak it, right? I don't know if you see that or not, but I noticed that sometimes the water will just kind of make the Sharpie run. So I dry it off to get started. And actually I can tell, I think I'm already, I'd rather start a little high. I'm actually starting a little low here. Ooh, steep bevels. We're getting closer, but we are not there yet. All right, so one other thing that is very common, this came up with a knife that Tyler was working on. Tyler is our newest member to the guild, was that the bevels are not always the same on either side, and that's why Okay, so that's what you can hopefully see. That's pretty high on the post. That's a steep bevel. I would consider easing that back a little bit, but let me see what this side looks like. Sometimes, right, so I was saying they're not always the same on either side of the blade. So you have to find the one that makes you feel good, or split the difference or something like that. This one's even a little steeper. I'm thinking, man, that is a steep bevel. And check the other side for, see, I already did it. Now I lost track. That's what I mean. How about a little, since I've taped it, how about I do a little Sharpie where I've taped here and do a 1 on that side. Meaning that's the first, I like that. There's a hot tip for you. I can do a 2 there. All right. Let's see if that stays or wears away. All right, that. I know you can't see what I can see. That does look good. It's a little steep. I don't know if that's by design or not. I think I don't want to mess with it a whole lot. See what's going on. I'm applying a little more pressure here. Now I'm getting out over here. My downward pressure on the stone, there's not a lot of knife to grab on the bench, on the table there, so. One. I can see some spots over here at the tip are still going to need some work, but let's get that bevel built on this side. Definitely see that the tip needs some work. I don't know if you can see or not, but when you're using that magnet, all of the filings stay right on there. I want to be careful to get those off. I'm checking for a burr right now. And Doug had a good comment about the frequency with which you clean your shop rag, which is not something I ever really thought about before. I mean, I clean it, but I don't have a ritual or a frequency prescribed that I do. But what I've come to been doing now is at the, especially with kitchen cutlery, when I'm done with it, I wash it before I send it home. So whenever I'm done washing my kitchen cutlery, I just put my shop rag in the soapy water, do a little hand wash, and then set it out to dry. I feel like that was a nice way to always come back to the bench with a relatively clean bench rag. And it's stuff like that, like just these perpetual little nuggets in addition to the big nuggets. Like, oh, Doug just had a big score with Nextdoor, which is not a marketing platform that I have spent, or a social platform that I've spent much time, any time on. So that's another thing, right? Like the community is what is so valuable. Now I can see I got a burr except for one little shiny spot. Checking the position of the edge down the thickness of the blade, meaning both bevel on this side and this side should look the same, right? Like if this one was bigger, then that would mean I've cut more off this side and the edge had been shifted to this side. Right now they look pretty much the same. But the tip here needs a little work. Trying to strike that balance of getting some material off, but being real careful not to mess with that tip. I think I just saw it go away, meaning that little bright spot. So I should have a burr built on the whole edge here. And I do. As I always say, if you are not building a burr, you are not ready to move on. All right, let's check that. Just needed a little bit more. Yep. I'm looking that I can't see that little bright spot that I was seeing before, so I'm good. And actually, since I've labeled 1 and 2, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna change my plan mid-stroke. So now we are going over to side 2. What you can't see too is that this flat spot, I don't want to run that edge that I'm building up against the stop. It's close here. I'm trying to get the flat. I was thinking about putting something in there just to grab that flat. I think that I will be okay like this, but I don't want to damage the edge as I'm building it, you know? I had this thought the other day, which I'll share with you. I had this thought, like, every human uses a cutting implement. You could get, like, let's set at least a lower age boundary condition to that. But my son is 2, like, he's been cutting with scissors for probably a year. I mean, he loves it. It's a great little hobby. Nice fine motor skills. So I was thinking about that and, like, surprised at how we've kind of fallen away from an understanding about how to maintain all of these cutting tools that we all use. The other angle, of course, is that there is no shortage of opportunity if you want to become a professional in sharpening. I can see a bright spot here, and that's going away. Maybe worth a pass. I could have gotten away with a pass on the 1x30, but don't need to either. So now checking for my burr. I do bet I don't have one right there. Yeah, a little more tip work. Yeah, and a little reminder, you can use the hit that wheel icon, because I know this can get a little boring, but sometimes if you really want to learn how to sharpen a dagger, like you just got a dagger on your bench and you're like, oh shoot, and I hope that if you just searched in YouTube how to sharpen a dagger, especially on an Edge Pro, that you could derive value from this. Some things to look for. All right, so I got the burr built there. Let's go back to the first side. It's looking good, no bright spots. But let's just make sure. Okay, Okay, 1 and 2 are built. Ooh, that tip is nice. Okay, let us set our that is where we built this, and we will move up in stone. I am going to do the 220. The stone's a little beat up. It is ready to be swapped out, but I'm not going to do that now. I did do some prep work. I actually thought about cutting a video of the prep work for this, but I did not. And I started on side 2. All right, see how, like, man, you guys gotta keep me honest here. All right, so we did side 2, side 2, 2. Let's go to side 1. Side 1, 2. All right, from here forward, I'm going to try to start with 1. I guess it doesn't matter as long as I don't lose track. Okay. $220. Moving up in grit, I'm going to jump up to 600. This is a nice fresh new stone. It's got a few miles on it, but not too many. Side 1. Yeah, it's starting to wear off. It's getting wet. No! It's okay. Keep a Sharpie on my hip. Just repaint it. Clean my table. Notice how gentle I'm coming down on that table. One, two. Okay, I'm going to cut that burr off. Once I get up around 600, I like to remove the burr. Let's go to side 2. Two, 2. Two, 1 to cut the burr. Wipe it down. One thing that has struck, I got this hatchet in today. Like nice hatchet. Just literally no edge. I've been thinking about that for some time. Like how, like as a knife or tool maker, I imagine if you're putting the work into building it, like you have a sense of pride around it. I've been a little bit surprised how knife makers sell knives without a dynamite edge. The one exception that I've discovered is my Carter cutlery neck knife. That had a screaming edge on it, but still I found that when ooh, this is looking good. when I put my edge on it on the Edge Pro, it was way more dynamite. So yeah, with that hatchet, I'm gonna have to, I just gotta cut and refine a bevel on it. Just shocked that it was literally no edge. Nice hatchet too. All right, I'm going back to 1-1. I'm going to cut that burr off, keep my bench nice and clean. Two side. And I'm working the 1100 stone here in case I didn't mention that and you were curious. And I'm into the diamond matrix stones now. So from here forward, I will be using, meaning like going up in grit, I will be using the diamond matrix stones right up until the polishing tape. I still love the result of the 6000 grit polishing tape. I think that with this 1100 grit stone, this is, I mean, it's gonna be, this is, I don't know, you can try me on this. This is, we're gonna top out on sharpness here. Alrighty. $2,300. Side 1. So now when I'm getting into some polishing grits now, right? Like more cycles, less pressure. Really just refining the edge. Ooh, but be careful too, man. Come back to 1-1 and remove any burr that might have shown up. Let's go to side 2. One other thing that I meant to mention in the prologue was that the Guild of Professional Sharpeners is priced right now at $500 for the first year and $150 for every year thereafter. And if you were to seek out personalized business coaching, I would be shocked if you could get anyone that would be worth it in your space for less than $100 a sesh. And you get way more than 5 sessions over the course of a year, in addition to a full course. And then for every year after, I mean, $150 a year is less than 2 knives a month. And if the guild is not delivering you value that comes out near sharpening 2 knives a month, then we're failing, honestly. So that would be feedback that we need. I'm hoping that this is I'm confident it's going to be a system that will be perpetually valuable for sharpeners in this space. Not everyone, right? Like, it's got to be a good fit. This is 4,000 grit now. I will remove any potential burr that showed up here. This thing is looking good. Side 2-2. Careful at that tip. So you got to get the stone off the tip, but not all the way off, right? Remove any potential burr that showed up here. All right. And we would not be able to send this home without a Facebook finish. So let us break out the 6000 grit polishing tape. I put a fresh one on for this show, my last one. I don't know, I was thinking, like, what do I get? Maybe 5, 10 knives of tape, which I realize is twice as much as the first number, but I don't really keep track. They still do a nice job after, even if they look a little bit used. Of course, if you cut them up, they're not very good. Side 1-1, starting with pull strokes, no pressure. Oh, and a new one does do nice. Once you have the pull strokes, I get, ooh, yeah, still no pressure, right? No pressure here. I started to apply a little pressure and I felt it cut the tape. It's like, oh, shoot, man. Okay. Side 1-2. No pressure. No pressure. Ooh, a little bit right there. Cut my tape. Let's go to side 2. Trying to be very careful. I went back. Rob Bixby over at the Apostle P. He was a big help in me learning to sharpen. And one thing which I heard him just comment on, he's pretty much selling knives now. I'd recommend you go check out the knives he's selling. Good deal on high-end folders. But anyway, he was commenting on the number of strokes that he does, and I realized I'm not doing as many strokes as he does. So I've tried to up my game on strokes a little bit. Okay, if there is anything here, got that off. Okay, man, that is a sharp dagger. Blinding glares all around. All right, that is it. I wanted to start doing a product of the week with you to close out the videos. What the heck happened to that? There it is. And since I had a different one in mind, but since it is not readily accessible, the product of the week this week is going to be the Serrated Blade Shim. Let's actually go back to the bench real quick. This, I'll include a link to where you can find it, but when you're doing serrated blades, this thing fits on the apex just like that. And let's just pretend this is a serrated blade. It lifts the spine up, which hopefully you can see, like you lift the spine up. So now you can get a more shallow angle, because when you're doing serrated blades on the Edge Pro, you cut the flat side, push a burr into the serration, and then remove the burr with a hone or a tapered hone like that. So you need to have a very flat cut, and sometimes the apex won't get you low enough to do that. So that is the Serrated Blade Shim. I make them, I sell them, and I send them to you. So if you would like one of those, please look in the description for this video on where you can order yours. And know that you'll be supporting the American Edge and everything that we do here, we meaning me, ultimately, on the YouTubes for the Thursday Night Grind, which I hope is delivering value to you. Make sure that you subscribe and smash the thumbs up button because you enjoy this, and I will see you next week. Thank you.